You're tuned in to Tusks and Tales, the podcast that brings you the grit, the dogs, and the chase. Today's episode is powered by our sponsors, HardcoreHogDogs.com. Premium gear built for the hunt. Use code Tusks and Tales with Mr. Michael Spieler. Next up is Boars and Broads. Lifestyle and apparel for those who live the hunt. Save with code TNT at checkout. To Be Hog Dogs, two brothers, one passion. Family, tradition, and hog dogs. A&M Kennels, a husband and wife team turning their passion into a legacy. This is Tusks and Tales. Let's get started. Hello, y'all. Welcome back to Tusks and Tales. It's going to be y'all's Tuesday morning, 4 a.m. drop. The guy I got on today, man, I'm excited to talk with. I'm really excited. Him and I, I've seen people reach out to me. I think him and I are very similar. But we'll get into that here in a minute. I got a few announcements to make right away. I thank y'all for the support. Once again, I can't tell you how happy I am. Don't forget, we got our discounts at Boars and Broads and Hardcore Hog Dogs. We gained another supporter. If y'all haven't... I'm sure you heard it in the beginning of this, but to Be Hog Dogs, Mr. Kenneth Smith and Tequil Smith. Thank you guys. Thank all of y'all, man. I can't thank y'all enough. We gained another country, Germany, I think. Don't quote me on that, but yeah. Hey, shout out to y'all in Germany. Listen to us. Shout out to all the countries out there listening to us. We're at 12 right now, which is amazing, guys. I've had a few people request YouTube. We are officially going to launch our YouTube podcast. I'm going to cover some videos in there. I'm not going to make no content stuff because I'm not going to deal with the monetization and getting wasting the time making videos and getting them taken down. I'm going to cover, my headlamps, my cut gear, my dogs, talk about them a little bit, maybe get a couple more people on here and do some live recordings. I got to get into it and figure it out a little bit. Man, we boomed. I don't know if everybody's seen it, but at the end of the 30-day mark, we had over 6,000 views. The consumption hours are out of this world as well. I would have to pull up all the analytics, but I'm not going to sit here and bore y'all with that. We couldn't do this without your support, guys. I appreciate it a lot. I take a lot of my time out to do this to make sure y'all keep getting content. Y'all sharing it, liking it, sending me feedback. I love it. And some of that feedback is what brought this guest coming on today. I had quite a few people reach out wanting to hear from him. And, I have not, I'm going to be honest with y'all, I have not talked to this guy at all. So we're just going to kind of wing this one and see where it goes, get some dog talk. We're kind of getting away from the real beginner talk. I think we kind of proved our point. I'll still ask some questions in there regarding beginning, for beginners to get information. But I'd like to get some more fun talk out there for a lot of the experienced hog hunters, even the senior level hog hunters. I've had old timers reaching out, man. They're listening to this podcast. It's awesome. I love it. And, I couldn't be more appreciative of where we're at. Now, with all that being said, we got, a guest on today. I'm going to let him introduce himself. Do you mind telling us your name, where you're from, and what kind of dogs you run?
Yes, my name's Wesley Wiley. I live in central Louisiana, and I run Plott hound.
Okay, now, central Louisiana, as in, are you over? I think Kenneth's over there too. Are you by the Kenneth Smith and Tequil?
He's a little bit north of me. I live in Marksville, Louisiana. That's where I live at.
Okay, I've done some hunt tests there. I kind of know where you're at now. Okay,
yes, sir.
So, would that be by Catahoula Lake, or am I wrong?
It actually is not far from me. It's
okay.
About 25 minutes away.
Yeah. Okay. Now, I know where y'all are at then. Okay. Now, you said Plott hounds. Guys, we got another Plott hound guy. I've been told, that me and this guy are pretty much the same person. We're just hunting two different areas. Now, with that being said, what lines are you running? And if you don't mind, get into a little bit in depth about that. Maybe talk about your lead dog, maybe what they come from, or can you touch base on that just a little bit?
So basically, all of my dogs lead back to, they're all Bayou Cajun bred dogs. I have one Jip right now. She's 7 years old, and she's the only other bloodline that I have. She's a Houston Valley bred and Star Mountain cross.
Okay.
All the rest of my dogs go back to every dog that Mr. Mike's owned and buddies of his throughout the years, way before I even started with Plotts.
Okay. Yeah, that's so which one's your lead dog? Is it going to be out of that Bayou Cajun or the Houston Valley?
Yes,
or?
yes sir. I would say him being my lead dog, he's 6 years old. He comes off of Mr. Mike's Slim dog, which he doesn't have anymore, and his Jip Trumpet. So he's a hog dog.
Yeah, and a lot of people have reached out to me about getting how they can get in touch with Mr. Mike and blah 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 regarding getting a pup off that Trumpet dog. I personally I'm a fan of that Showtime dog, and he did just sell him.
Yep.
I'm a huge fanatic of that Showtime dog. I believe it doesn't really matter what he breeds Showtime to; they produce.
No, he is. He's a natural producer. I've been privileged to be able to hunt with Showtime over the past few years and see him in action. And he is by far the fastest Plott that I've ever been able to be privileged to hunt with.
Huh. That's interesting.
Not as far, it's not his drive on a track. I've seen him leave packs of dogs in no amount of time. He can cover a couple hundred yards ahead of dogs when he's been with them the whole race.
Yeah.
So his stamina was something that was very unusual that I've seen. He's by far, he's a number one in my book.
I like that. So out of all the ones that you've hunted with Mr. Mike, maybe for the listeners, because everybody, a lot of people now are intrigued by Mr. Mike's line, and you and I are just running his line pretty much, and I got a buddy as well that is, and I have some crossbred stuff down that it's not my line, but some cur crosses into it, and gosh dang man, that Bayou Cajun is just out of this world. Now, what would your opinion be on the best one you have ever hunted with of Mr. Mike's? Maybe if it's already passed away or anything. I know you did say Showtime is number one, but do you have one that might be better than Showtime that you've been around?
I would have to stick with Showtime. As far as overall dog, baying hogs, the bottom to stick with a hog that wants to run to stop a hog, the baying aspect of it, as far as the dog knew how to bay a hog in his bed, and not every dog is capable of that. Yeah. So you have to look at different things. I would say that Showtime is the number one dog that I would pick. Hank is a very good dog also. He is he's older, he's got a little age on him, so I wasn't able to hunt with Hank in his prime, so I couldn't tell you that. But I've been able to hunt with Showtime in his prime, so I would have to pick him.
Okay, that I respect it. Now, Jip wise,
I would say,
his bitch. Even if they've been bred, just one of the females.
I would say his Cypress Jip. She impressed me a whole lot. Just as far as this year hunting, she's impressed me a whole lot. She has phenomenal drive. She's an excellent bay dog. She can stop a hog by herself. She doesn't need any help. She's excellent. You can cast her. She's not as prone to rig. She's not as good of a rig dog as Showtime, in my opinion. But she's a phenomenal hog dog.
Okay. So, I like those answers. Now, you mentioned rig in there. Now, when you're talking rig, can you kind of tell the listeners real quick again, what rigging means? And your opinion.
Yeah, rigging dog, you can cover a lot of area that you wouldn't have to cast a dog into a block. So if you play the wind right, and you ride around a block and you see hog sign, you think a hog's in there, and you have a good rig dog, he's going to be able to tell you if there's a hog been around there that he can smell the track.
Yep. That's simple enough.
Mainly, we rig all over, but mainly in the marsh hunting, that's the number one thing you have to have. It saves you a lot of time. Area that you don't really know without casting a dog into, and you might be stuck. That dog's hunting, and you can't get in there close enough to get him back. So, regardless, of leaving him in that spot and going on a different spot, a rig dog saves you a lot of time.
Yeah. No, you're not wrong about that at all. I mean, I love that. Now, I'm at the point, like, mine are, I'm going to be honest with you, this weekend I found out, for example, I mean, my Plotts ran the pads off their feet. And there's a difference when, in my opinion, you say you might not be able to get close to him, get him back or whatever. Well, and I feel that. I get that. Friday night we covered 14 miles, and I can't remember how short of a period of time. But there's a difference. A lot of people talk about how much ground they cover, and they can't get their dog back or blah, blah, blah. There's a difference when a dog's running its pads off and actually producing a hog, and a dog just out there, I wouldn't even say hunting. I see a lot of people, a lot of people, man, my dog jumped a hog and it was on a race. Well, how do you know that for sure? I'm not degrading your dog or saying anything wrong, but if you have a steady pattern of, and this is just my opinion, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but if you have a steady pattern of that dog just leaving out and you're so, and being, that's the right reason to be in it. If you're happy just because the dog's out hunting that, or running, whatever, that's cool. But if you're not producing, you might kind of want to look at, if you're time and time again of dropping that dog and it's covering, 20 miles and you haven't, you think it's running something, but you haven't put eyes on a track, you haven't put eyes on anything, you might want to kind of look at what that dog is actually doing out there,
Yeah, totally. I would say that you're 100% correct on that. A lot of times, a dog can waste time and make it seem like he's being busy, or if a dog isn't producing, if he's not a producer as far as hog hunting and catching hogs, I mean, when you turn him loose, you've done hunted with your dog long enough to be able to know what he's going to do.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, I love how you put that, because, I like I said, I see it all the time, and, the time wasting, like you said, that time wasting is so annoying. I had, this weekend, you might be able to tell a story like this too. I had a guy from Missouri and another one come down from Colorado, and I was like, man, I'm going to go ahead and let my dogs rig because I really wanted to get them on their first hog. I don't make nobody pay. These are just a couple young kids that wanted to go out for a hunt. And I took them whatever, and I let my newt dog, he's Plott and Cur cross, but I just let him rig. And I was like, man, I'm just going to catch one real quick. And we did, we got on one, and it was a great time, just to be able to rig and do it that simple. But now, with that dog and my other, my Plott hound and my other Plott hound, I'm purposely taking them. I will help them out and drop them downwind, but I will go somewhere where I really don't think hog sign is, and I'll go ahead and drop them and really see what their hunting capabilities are. And I don't know if you do anything like that with your Plott hounds, just to see, kind of what they do out there, or what's your hunting style like?
Mostly my hunting style, I have all my dogs will rig a hot track. Now, as far as the capability of Mr. Mike's, nose-wise, I don't have a dog that's cold nose like his. But as far as rigging, I do have something that'll rig a hot track. But anyways, like I was saying, I usually just free cast a dog into a block. If I know that hogs are in there, if I see the sign, just by stuff like that. And then also just looking at your dog and being able to tell the way they act. If you see pretty fresh sign and your dog starts cutting up, not necessarily rigging, but being more excited, there's a good chance that he knows that there's a hog around that area. So I would cut my dog loose at that time. It's just all personal preference to be able to, the way that you hunt your dog and what you're used to.
Yeah. So when you say sign, this is something I probably haven't covered in any podcast. Now, can you kind of explain to them what kind of sign you're looking for? Some people look for rooting, some people look for a track. Can you maybe inform some people on maybe how you define how old that sign is? Can you kind of touch on that a little bit?
Yes. it's a difficult thing depending on the land and the terrain. Mostly the spots that I hunt are very hill country, high cutovers, things like that. So the only way that you'll see a lot of rooting is in a bottom or something where hogs just feeding on worms and grubs and whatever. In the summertime, acorns in the winter. But also down the roads, mostly looking for tracks. And it all depends on the dirt. If it's sandy, a hog track can make itself look like it's pretty fresh, but you might put a dog down and he act like he can't smell it. And just as far as rooting in the bottoms wise and on the roads, just good tracks, good trails where I know hogs have always come through there every year. I've had good success turning my dogs out here, like as far as bedding areas. Like I know hogs stay in that area.
Yeah. I mean, so a new guy, let's jump into that question then. You covered it like, I know that as well. I'm not saying I'm no pro at this, but I know as well that, if I have to, I might have to walk out a little bit and look for sign. And you'll have people that are, the best of the best hog hunters. You can't be better than them, by the way. Say, I'll never walk a dog. I'm not walking a dog. I'm going to go out and find sign, and then I'll work how I want to work my dog at that point. Now, What would you recommend a newcomer doing? Somebody, look, fresh. They're out there doing it by themselves. They don't have the luxury of, somebody like Mr. Mike or yourself or Travis or anybody with knowledge. You're just going out, just you.
Personally, as far as hunting young dogs that don't have very much knowledge at all, I would say if you're on a lease or some kind of land that you can put out a bait and a camera to be able to tell, like the hogs is coming in at this time or around this area, when the hogs is going to be there. And that would probably be the easiest way for a newcomer to get into hog hunting with young dogs that don't have the knowledge. But also at the same time, you have to be careful with always dropping your dog off on fresh time, because I have seen over the years that if you dump a dog on fresh sign, okay, I've seen dogs do it to where they might be a cast dog, but they get used of getting thrown off on hot sign. So they're apt to say, well, they don't have the range that they would like they would before.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's always a good thing. It's a good thing to use young dogs with hot sign for to be able to run a track, and they have more knowledge like that. But as far as I would say that this is what I do with my dogs, and I dry cast my dogs. I don't throw them out on hot sign every time. So you can make them go hunting. You want the range for them to go hunting and find the hog. Because not every scenario is like that. See, on a lease like that, I can put out corn, go places, and we have corn out and feeders and things like that. But when we hunt other areas, it's nothing like that. It's free range. There's no feed. It's only natural feed. So you have to cut your dogs loose, and they have to go find the hog, regardless of where it's at.
Yeah. Now, when you're in that situation, say you're dropping constantly on fresh sign, and I have noticed this with my puppy plots. Like maybe I'd say, gosh dang, how old? Let's say 8 to 12 months. 8 months to a year old. Have you? Man, I'm not lying. It was hilarious, but I loved it and I enjoyed every moment of it. And I'm not ashamed to say it because in my opinion, a Plott hound is a late starter. I really believe it. But once they go, it's hard to beat. But I know an expert out there is going to tell me there's a better dog. I know that there's always a better dog, and I get that. Just like people, there's always a better person. Now,
that's right.
Sign wise, and 8 to 12 months old, it was funny. I'm kind of kicking myself in the ass for telling this story. But I had some buddies that, they're like, hey, man, bring a dog out here. We just had a hog on camera. I'm like, oh, shit, my 8 and 12-month-old is going to find that. No ifs, ands, or buts. Well, it was a whole rooted up area in front of a camera, and I dropped that dog, and that dog sat there and done circles and was like, boom, boom. What do you do? I mean, I figured out what I needed to do in that situation, but I didn't know because I was still kind of newish to it. Which I still am new, but I was new to it. I was like, what the hell do I do here? That dog wouldn't range out 30 yards, but I believe every breath that dog took, was hunting.
Yeah, that's exactly right. He was. You know, a lot of, like, as we say, fresh sign in that area because there's a feed spot. There's so much hot sign in that area at one time that young dog, it takes a while for them to be able to figure out. They got to figure out all this scent, which way it come in, which way it goes. So it's not anything. It's every dog. If somebody tells you that a dog won't run a track backwards, it doesn't matter. A young dog, I've seen them do it. Some of my own dogs have done it, and at a young age. Now, we're not talking about a 4 or 5 year old dog, but puppy-wise, they will do it. And it's just a learning lesson for them. But I would, most of the time, like I said, in my personal preference, in that situation, you can kind of look around the area and see kind of like a good trail or where the hogs would go and try to walk and persuade that dog to go that way. You know, once he figures out if he goes that way and it's the wrong way, the track gets colder, he's going to turn around and come back, and I would try a different way. That's what I've done over the years.
Yeah, so, you know, and I like that you mentioned in there, and I really want to cover this because this has happened to me a lot. You mentioned in there, you know, they say they might not backtrack, if I remember how you worded that correctly. I could be wrong there, guys. Don't hold me on that. Now, I've had that happen to me a bunch to where I found a hog. I knew which way this single hog was going because that's what I started doing. I just only started dropping them younger plots on a single hog. So it wasn't like, oh, it was a huge rooted up area. There's sign everywhere. I started like trying to condense it down to one hog. And that was how I set them up for success. But man, I'm going to tell you right now, when I dropped them and they done ran, and I know they backtracked that hog because I know where the hog was coming from. I already walked out there and seen, of course, the track direction and everything. It'll give it away. And they wide open the whole way back. And but you know what was very positive about that situation is, guess what? I found where he was bedding down at. So when you're when your dog's running the track backwards, I mean, I know I'm not the only one that's had it happen to. You know, I'm going to get shit for it, but whatever. I don't care.
No, it's just the truth.
Yeah, what do you do? What do you do in that situation?
Well, man, as aggravating as it can be, you know, it's so aggravating because you know the way the hog went, and I've seen it. I mean, I'm just that type of person to be able to tell you, you know. I would let the dog figure out. Most dogs, the plots that I've seen throughout my time of owning them and raising them and hunting and being able to hunt with people with them, and I've seen that they will notice that the track is colder and they will come back. You know, this is the dogs that I've hunted. Can't speak for everybody else, but they have come back to me, the ones that they went the wrong way on the track. So, preferably it's pretty much patience. It's hard to do because at that time you don't want to get on Garmin and start burning them and shocking them and towing them, doing all this, you know. So they have to click in their mind to be able to know, obviously, this track's not getting hotter, something's wrong. And the dogs with the brains that I've seen, they will turn around and come back. Yeah. And then once that happens, then you can pull them in the right direction. And I've seen them pick it up.
Yeah, and I like that answer because I'm going to be honest with you, what I did, because I mean, Mr. Mike's helped me out. You know, he's answered the phone, man, when he didn't need to and talked to me plenty and gave me, people don't realize how good of a man that is and how knowledgeable he is. And people have reached out to me about how nice he is, and I've heard nothing but positivity about that guy. But, you know, at the time I really didn't have Mr. Mike. I knew about the Plott hounds. I knew where to get them from, and I was paying whatever dollar it took to get a Bayou Cajun Plott. And it was what I did, same thing as you're saying, but I think where I messed up is I continued to just allow it, though, instead of correcting it and trying to walk the way I knew that the hog went. I was like, okay, they're hunting it, they're trying to work it, and I did not correct them by any means, never. Because that I believe it'll take every bit of drive from a dog away, quick, fast, in a heartbeat.
It will. I know, Garmin-wise, it's a great tool, but it can also be a horrible tool in the hands of the wrong person.
Yes. Yeah.
So it's a fine line that you have to follow with the Garmin.
Yes, sir. Yeah. And I mean, so they ended up, actually figuring out, hey, I need to go this way for that track, and it just, when I found out what a track, man, I didn't learn none of this from anybody. Like my buddy that helped me a lot, he runs Bayou Cajun Plott hounds from Mr. Mike. He just took a jip up there not too long ago to get bred to Showtime, actually. And he always told me, he was the most informational guy that I've probably ever talked to. And his more words, or more of his training was, your dog's going to teach you. That couldn't have been more of a true statement than anything else. I mean, my dogs have taught me more than anybody explaining something would. Because, yeah, they're right. The person explaining to you is right when they're like, be patient. You got to wait for this. You got to do this.
Yeah.
You don't want to be. You're like, oh, hell no.
You don't. Yeah.
So
exactly. It's hard.
It's frustrating. I get it. But especially, like I've said, and I want you to touch base on this. Guys, if you cannot take the time to spend 2.5 years with a Plott hound, I highly do not recommend it. And I'll let Mr. Wesley touch on that, but I mean, I don't recommend getting one if you ain't got time for it.
Personally, what I've seen, the dogs I've raised, and the dogs that I've been privileged enough to get from Mr. Mike, as far as hunting wise, I would say, personally, me, I'm not gonna spend 2 years on a Plott. Okay.
No, that's fine.
Personally, and I've seen, at all the litters I've raised and the puppies I've seen, and everything. When I started out with Plotts, I guess you could say spoiled. I guess you could say privileged, whatever you want to call it, to have 2 Plotts at 8 months old that I would put up against any dog. You could free cast them, don't matter how far they had to go, how long they had to run the hog, they would stop and they would bait.
Oh, wow.
So it's a different thing for me. So that's as far as a learning lesson that I have to go through, that I've been going through. Okay. So I was lucky enough, I got a couple breedings off of them, and the puppies, they were phenomenal. All hog dogs. Didn't have one bad complaint about them. They were just like their mom and their dad. So as far as that, I've had one single jip out of the breeding that I've had, that which are all Bayou Cajun bred dogs, that she was 12 months old, and she wouldn't bay a pig, not a show, wouldn't look at it, didn't care about it, and I gave her the benefit of the doubt, and I kept her until she was about 15 months old, and it was like a light switch, and I never thought it was going to happen, but I was glad I did, because she turned out to be a phenomenal dog. The same as her mom and dad. You could free cast her into a block, no sign, it didn't matter, anything. And she would go find you a hog. She was a phenomenal bay dog. Bay hogs in her bed. And that's kind of a gene that kind of my older dog that I had bred to, he knew the exact pressure to pull on the hog to bait him. And it's very important as far as hog dogs. I like hearing a race.
Yeah,
I love it.
Me too.
But at the same time, you can eliminate that a lot of times, because more or less, the dogs that pressure a hog in his bed is going to make him break, and he's going to want to run, because it's fight or flight.
Yep. So
if you have a dog that knows the pressure to put on him to bait him in his bed, you can catch a lot more hogs. And not only a lot more hogs wise, it's just land wise. The type of dogs you have to be able to hunt on whatever type of land you're able to hunt.
Yeah, and with you saying that, I really like how you mentioned that you could catch a lot more hogs. Now, I used to be the guy, man. I'm not lying. My buddy that I was just talking about earlier, I can't thank them enough, man. He was so patient with me. He's caught thousands of hogs and over his years. And he's had the the privilege to hunt with some very reputable guys. He doesn't have social media. He's quiet. He don't want his name ever mentioned. Trust me, I'm begging to get him on this podcast, but he won't. But I used to pull down to the boat launch or to the leases, and I would bring 8 to 10 dogs, all collared up. And I could never catch a freaking hog. And he would just sit there and smile and laugh with me and bullshit. He was the most patient guy ever. He didn't tell. He said, them dogs are going to teach you, I'm telling you. And then one day, I think we got out of church or something. We just got out of church, or we were that morning. I don't remember exactly, but he said, Alan, he said, why don't you just try a couple dogs? Try 2 dogs. Just try it, please. Mm-hmm. And, me being hard-headed, I'm like, no, you got to have 6 dogs to catch a hog. No. Yeah. Man, I went down and I started hunting with, now I'm like 1 dog. I really don't even like to take 2 anymore, but I'm taking younger dogs with one of them older ones that can finish a hog out by themselves to, and then I'll pull them off, kind of weaning them off of it, and then make them produce it by themselves. But I found out hogs stop a million times easier with just 1 dog out there, and I don't really have as many races. And when I get out there, it's not like they're all up in its face trying to shut it down, and it's a nice loose bay. You can walk in there. The hog doesn't feel pressured. You can send your catch dog. I mean, it took me a while to learn that, and now it's just been a huge success. And then, I have buddies that reach out, and they're like, man, they've been hunting their same way with 6, 7 dogs, and they're like, well, why is just 1 doing it now? I said, well, I mean, you try it, but I don't have the answers for them. I don't have that type of knowledge. I'm just doing what's working for me. And that's right. The 1 dog situation is working for me. So I really like that you mentioned that. Now, do you want to touch base on that a little bit more and maybe enlighten the viewers that, sometimes a smaller amount of dogs does help?
Yes. In my personal opinion, what I've seen that works the best for me is first thing you have to do is know your dogs, the way they bay, the way they hunt, everything. And to have a working pair of dogs is phenomenal. You got one dog shows and everything like that, but when you have a pair of dogs, they work together good, you're going to see a lot better results out of that.
Yeah.
And I've been privileged enough to be able to say that I've had some of the best pair of dogs that I've ever seen to be able to bay hogs. And they have to work together. It's just like people. Yeah. And I love that you say that, because you are right. That Newt dog that I talk about, that was the one, man. The only reason he had to be a 1 dog is because that Nature's dog, like you said, I couldn't believe it, man. I was posting videos of this dog at 8 months old, finding and literally catching the hogs by himself. But he was a stray we found on an island, and we don't know what he is, but my wife, I love that woman to death, but she's got to save every dog in the world. That's right.
And I'm not mad at it, because he is one of my best dogs. But since then, he was very rough. Him and Newt were phenomenal together. If I wanted to go catch a hog, my wife would say, well, I know we're catching a hog tonight, because I bring that Newt and Nature's dog. And like you said, they were just a great pair. He looks like a red cur dog. Don't get me lying what he is, but yes, you're right 100% about it being a team effort, because that was in like January, February-ish. I was catching so many hogs, like I wasn't getting bored of it, but I was kind of like, man, I want a race to go on. I want something to change up, because every time I dropped them dogs, I knew I was catching a hog. Well, then I shouldn't have asked that, because be careful what you ask for. He got a punctured chest cavity. And then his very next hunt out, his very first hunt, I bought a vest, custom vest from Hardcore, and I was like, man, I don't think he needs to wear a vest yet. Maybe he learned his lesson. My wife still does not let me live that down. The very next hog he went in on, his other side punctured in 2 spots. And I was like, oh my goodness. So that's where Newt kind of had to start taking initiative on his own and finishing out hogs by himself. And, man, it was a struggle point. I'm not going to, I was catching maybe 1 hog a week, and I was getting frustrated. But now, it really opened the door to what he's capable of, because he's got the capability of going out and doing it. You got your times that they're not going to catch him. But, I mean, he's pretty accurate.
Yeah, exactly. And another thing is, I want to talk about that. So it's important to hunt dogs in pairs, and I think, like I said, it's better results. But as far as to see exactly what your dog is capable of to the furthest extent, is to hunt him solo. That's the number one thing that I've seen. If you want to know what kind of dog you have, hunt him by itself.
Yeah.
Dogs will work together, and I've seen it's more or less like a competition to male dogs. It's like men. They're like athletic men. Okay, you put 3 male dogs together, and they have the drive, they have the hunt. So the prey drive is going to make them run quicker. They're going to run on track faster and faster. They don't want to fall behind.
Yeah.
So it's important to know what you have by itself also, just in case, because this is a hog hunt world. So you might get a dog injured or some case like that. You can't hunt them. Well, if you're down off of that dog, then you're going to obviously catch less hogs because that was your best working group.
Yes. Yep. And I'm glad he mentioned that, y'all. Y'all know I'm big into these tournament hunts, and that happened to me. My buddy in Oklahoma was not too happy with me. I had a tournament, and the weekend before I had 3 dogs cut down because I went and pleasure hunted the weekend before a tournament. And my partner was like, man, for real, like they still, it's sad, but not even my lead dogs, they still produced 5 hogs. Which I was absolutely surprised of because it rained the whole time in the middle of that tournament. But he is 110% correct. And I was just up Schitt's Creek. I didn't have nothing to really that I could count on to go and catch a hog. Is what I'm saying. And it's a bad situation to be in, especially if unfortunately something really bad did happen. Now, do you have anything else you want to touch on that, Mr. Wesley?
Just as far as every hog hunter, they have you have a favorite dog or favorite dogs, as far as pairs or whatever you hunt. I have it personally. Everybody's got it.
Uh-huh.
The dogs that they can go to say, look, I want to bait a hog. I want to catch a hog. Let me turn these 2 dogs loose. This one dog. You have that overall confidence in that dog itself, or 2 dogs together, whatever it may be. But and not there's not very many people, and I'm not going to say it's not possible to have every dog in their yard they can cut loose to be able to bait hogs by themselves. And not say bait hogs by themselves, which they all can. And I was not saying to feed a dog that's not able to do that, but overall consistent. That's what kind of base I'm trying to talk to.
Yeah.
I'm trying to talk about the base of that.
Yeah.
But because not every dog is on the same level.
You're not wrong. I mean, you're really not. And we'll cover that here in a little bit. Don't let me forget that either, because I know where you're going. I don't want you to get too deep into that because I really want to cover that with you if you don't mind.
Yeah. No, that's fine.
Now, while we're still kind of talking about the what you run and whatnot, I know we got a little bit off and we started bullshitting a little bit more. But now, your line, your dog specifically, what kind of speeds are you getting now? I'm going to ask you a lot here, and if you can answer them all, great. If not, I'll try to keep track and then ask you again. Now, speeds is in, you just rigged a hog straight out. You know it's a hot rig. You can usually tell when it's a hot rig, especially if you got a pup in the boat or the buggy and they're freaking out. What kind of speeds they're getting out on that? On a jumped hog? You said you really didn't have any cold nose dogs, but if you do, can you talk about their speeds a little bit? And then hot track when it's jumped, or when you know they're trying to get it stopped. Like they're on the ass, not just jumped, but they're on it and it's just not stopping. Can you kind of talk about speeds just a little bit?
Yeah, I can. It's a hard. So it's basically the Garmin's the average. So
yeah.
I would say as far as a jumped hog, and it all depends on the land you're hunting too. This is like number one key to everything. Obviously, if I'm going to be hunting in a bottom that's open, my dog's going to be able to move better. But as far as the places I hunt, hunting cutovers and mostly like everybody else, if you can get a race that's running and your dogs are averaging at the end of that race, if you can get a dog to stick with 6.5 miles an hour, that's a fast dog over hours of running.
Oh, yeah.
So with that being said, there's only a few that I can say that are able to do that with their drive by themselves on the track. Not as far as a pack, but singular dogs to be able to push the track like that. But I would say around, as far as hound wise, I would say around 6.5. 6.5 miles per hour average. Usually, you know, maybe a little bit more on, which they're going to run faster than that in open woods.
Yeah.
But I would say around that mile per average.
Okay. Yeah. Now, and you're saying that's on a jumped hog?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, jumped hog, fully running. Yeah.
Okay. Now on a cold one, you know, you just free casted. What's your hunting speeds looking like there? Hush.
I would say around 4 mile an hour. As far as cold weather, I would say that's a pretty base mile per hour average for these hounds. You know, as far as what I've seen out of my dogs.
Yeah. Okay. No, I mean that we're all on the same track. By the way, I'm just, man, my Garmin has lied to me, and I'm guilty, man, because I've showed people, and I didn't realize that I still had my statistics being taken from the boat. So now that's why I really keep track of all my stats. Like here, not just recently, but within the past few months, because I reset every hunt. I keep track of the miles the dog goes, the speeds, everything like that. And I mean, yeah, that all the answers seem very accurate based off of what I'm getting now. When I was looking at the boat ones, I'm like, man, these dogs are moving an average of 14 to 17 mile an hour. I was guilty because that was including the boat speed, and I didn't put all that into accountability. I completely forgot you got to reset the hunt. That's that new technology, you know, stuff. I was thinking it was just, you know, some accurate information, but because you hear guys that run Julys and walkers claim that if their dogs ain't up there in that, you know, I don't have much experience with hunting with people with running walkers or Julys or and stag hounds, and I'm sure they're up there in speed.
Yeah, I don't know the actual mile per hour average on them either, but I know as far as what I've seen, like Showtime, out of all Plott that I've hunted with, his ability to not only cut a track, but leave dogs that stayed with him for miles in a very short distance and stop the hog ahead of them was by far the number one thing that I've seen out of him. He was the fastest Plott that I've seen, and the dogs that I started with, and these dogs too, they're fast, and he's faster than them.
Damn. Yeah, I can't remember if Mr. Mike did cover. I don't think he covered Showtime specifically, specific speeds. I'm gonna have to bug him about that and find out. Now, so we covered cold, we covered jumped. Now, baying wise, I mean, let's talk that real quick. We ain't got to stay on it forever, because I think we've between you, myself, Mr. Mike, and we've covered a lot of, and I've had other Plott hound people talk on here regarding Plotts. What would you think a good, or sorry, let me ask that the right way. How long do you think your dogs could potentially hold a bay comfortably? And then how long have you actually held a bay for?
Me personally, the longest time I've ever had my Plott bay was in Oklahoma. I bayed on the side of a riverbank, and it's a pretty good hole, about a 200-pound bull hole. And we got up there, and the dogs are bayed. Well, a buddy of mine sent his bulldog in, and it was a bluff wall there. So hit the hog, and it went tumbling down into the river.
Yeah.
So the hog swam across the river, and they had, I know it's not exactly a bay, but the bulldog was there. But he got hung up on the other side of the river in some vines, and we had to drive all the way around. It took us it took us about 2.5 hours to get all the way around the other side of the river by the time we left the lease. So that's the longest scenario I can say there. As far as average, I've bait hogs hour and a half, hour and 45 minutes, and they held them with no problem as far as baying wise. But I would be willing to say if the dogs have a hog bait, my dogs, if they're there bayed comfortably and the hog's not moving and he's set up, they'll be there all day.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they should. They shouldn't leave a hog like that.
Yeah. Yeah. And it just happened to me on, I think, Saturday's hog we caught, Sunday's hog. I can't remember, Saturday or Sunday. But Saturday, same situation-ish, kind of. The problem was I kept getting my boat stuck. Our water levels are kind of low here right now. We've been kind of been dry. And I was trying to go back up. Man, I was trimming up, trying to get over I was hitting every sandbar under the sun. I could not get to the bay. And I was freaking out because, I mean, I had some guys that wanted to, they wanted to hog hunt. That's what they were. Yeah. That's what they were with me for. And I was like, man, it's a solid one. It's a good hog. They're maxed out, and they've been holding the bait. Well, it hit, and I told them, I'm not lying. Like, these guys listen to this podcast, so they could just blow me up on social media, say I'm lying. But we was all sitting there on the sandbar just swimming, having a drink or two, hanging out. And I said, when these dogs, they could hold a 5 to 6 hour bay. This is 1:30 in the afternoon, and it's hot down here. Where I'm not even an hour from the coast, and I asked my wife. I said, "Well, you think it's all right in the shade, hunt?" I realized that I put my vest on my lead dog, and I was like, "Shit, we better get there." I started freaking out a little bit because I told him when they bayed up, I was like, "Yeah, they found the hog. Now they're bayed," because he usually shuts it down within about 350 yards, and I said, "They're bayed up, honey." I said, we ain't got to rush to him. Well, then I started freaking out when I couldn't get upriver because I sat around bullshitting for about another 30 minutes because, in my opinion, I know my dog, he's not that rough to go get cut down. And I know that, but that's me knowing my dog. So I don't want somebody to look at me like, oh, you're going to let your dog get hurt out there. No, I'm using it as a training tool. I want that dog to sit out there and bay. I want him to do that. And I knew I was pulling him off right after that hog. And I was going to sit him down, and it took us, goodness, I'm telling you, I'm not even exaggerating. And it was hot. Like I'm saying, it was 1:30 in the afternoon in southeast Texas. So I think feels like it was like 98 or something, and it was clear skies. So we're all in shorts, and my wife, by the way, I got to tell you all the truth. She called me some names because she said I was pretty boy Rick. I had to get dressed up before I went to a bay, blah, 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 blah. She was talking so much shit because she beat everybody to the bay. She is 8 months pregnant. She's having a baby in 4 weeks. Man. She takes off with the freaking bulldog. I'm like, gosh, damn, woman, shorts, tennis shoes, middle of summer. There's snakes everywhere. I'm trying to throw on I wear a vest to keep... like all my everything. Any dog gets cut down, I keep my Garmin in it because I'm always swimming and I try to stay above, keep all that stuff dry. And then I got all my ties and I keep my leads, just everything in that little vest. I'm throwing that on, and I didn't have no shoes, so I wasn't going barefoot in there. Man, she gave me the most shit I ever heard from any. Like I'm telling y'all, my wife, when it comes to going to them dogs, she beats 90, and she is 8 months pregnant. This is not exaggerating. Them old boys, man, that were hunting with us, they're like, I have seen women do some crazy shit, but never seen anyone that fast. And I'm not talking my wife up because I hate it. I was so pissed. Her dad laid into her for it. Her mom did. I mean, none of us like it. She's 8 months pregnant. She don't need to be doing that shit. But she still does. Now, she was trying to get to him because she knew how long they were holding that damn bay. And that's just an impressive amount of time, especially in the heat. And that's going into my next question. I got a little bit off topic telling that story, but I really wanted to ask you this, and that's why I was so excited to have you on tonight. Heat. I have heard nothing but negativity when it comes to talking about the Plott hounds in the heat. They claim that that Plott hounds can't handle the heat like a XYZ dog. I mean, I've heard Julys and Walkers and everything. That a Plott hound doesn't hold up to the heat well. I've honestly never even had a problem. The biggest problem I've had is them running their pads off.
Yeah. What I can say about that is, me personally, I've never had problems where my dogs couldn't handle the heat. I've ran hogs for 6 to 8 hours in the heat with Plotts. And I mean, I was trying to call them off of the hog, but it was so much, they had so much drive that they wouldn't quit the hog. So undoubtedly they kept running and running. And at that time, I mean, it was from middle of the day to later in the evening. And finally he got the hog bait, but it's not because I wanted them to run that long, but it's saying that they did have the capability of doing that. And it's not just one time. I've ran my Plotts in summertime. You know, if you keep your dogs in shape, running wise, hunting, your Plott should be able to withstand the heat. The only thing that I can say goes into the aspect of a dog not being able to handle the heat is if he did overheat at one time. And
wait, what did you say? Sorry.
As far as like a dog overheating, if a dog overheats at one time, then he's more apt to not be able to handle the heat like other dogs would. And that goes for any breed. It don't matter what kind of dog it is. And anybody that's been around dogs know that.
Yes, yeah. And a few things I want to touch base, and I would like you to piggyback off of this kind of is, guys, I noticed it this week, and I specifically didn't drop one of my puppy cur dogs because she was panting and the bottom part of her tongue was wide. That's a sign of, and I don't dehydrate my dogs, y'all. I give them electrolytes and everything I possibly can, but there's just I don't know how to put it. She was in the boat, she ran a little bit, and she come back to the boat. And I was just like, maybe she's just not acclimated to it. She would have been perfectly fine, honestly, if I probably dropped her. But those are the little things I pay attention to. I pick their fur up. I check if their fur's sticking and staying up. I you know, even with puppy litters, guys, if you're having a problem with puppies dying and stuff, I start putting water in chicken feeders for 2-week-old pups, and I've seen 1.5, 2-week-old pups start drinking that water because mama might not be able to produce just enough. I don't know. I do things a little different, but paying attention to those heat factors is a huge thing.
Exactly.
I don't know if you can touch base on maybe a couple more things to point out when it comes to a dog potentially being a heat casualty or having heat exhaustion.
Well, basically what you said, and you know, you don't ever want it to get to that point. So regardless of, I've always looked out for my dogs. It was more important for me to, if I had the thought in my mind of my dogs being maybe heat stroking out or whatever the case may be, overheating, I would do whatever I had to do to catch my dogs. Because
yes, thank
you. It's not worth messing up your dog over a hog, you know. And it's just in the summertime. The southern states, you hunt, it's hot and everything. And me personally, I hate the summer, and I don't like hunting in the summer, just because I mean, it doesn't take much. A dog to fight a hog, to be baying for a hog for a little while. If he's not in the water and he's in a pine thicket, then he's going to get overheated quicker than if he's in a creek.
Yeah, for sure. You're 100% right. And you got to know your areas that you're hunting. Maybe you know, okay, they're running in this. There's plenty of water sources in this area. They're able. A logical, intelligent dog is going to stop and take a drink of water while it's hunting. And I know you hate to say, no, my damn dog never stops. It's go, go, go. That dog. Well, I'm sorry. I don't wish that upon you. I hope mine. Or I believe they stop and take drinks. Now, you mentioned in there, and I loved it. I did. You're going to do what it takes to get your dog out of there. And I love that you said that because my wife and I just had this conversation with them younger guys this weekend. They're wanting to buy dogs and get into hog hunt now. They're so excited about it because, it's their first time. They got on some. And I love to present that opportunity to people, man. By the way, y'all listening, I don't care where you're from, who you are, if you've ever been around a hog dog, anything. You want to go, call me. You're not gonna see mistreated dogs. That's not what you're gonna see, and that's what we kind of touched base on with these guys. Is a lot of it was, man, they're honest, and I hate hearing it when you look from the outside in. Everybody says hog dogs are mistreated. And it's just sad how they are talked about. Now, I'm not saying I'm ever going to change the world in that, but I wish it would open other people's eyes to maybe take a little bit better care of their dogs. But mine, I told him, I said, today was a successful day. I said, they got that one. I said, I'm pulling them off. I said, we got my little bloodhound, man. He's not little shit. He's 100 and some pounds, but he'll go out and catch a hog. I don't like hunting him because he's so damn rough. If he gets killed, my wife will kill me. She loves that dog, but she always wants me to hunt him. So, and that's what I'm getting at. We were there, and it was just hot, and I was like, I'm pulling my good dogs out. I'm strapping them up. They're done for the day. We started feeding them. I feed my dogs Twinkies and freaking just bullshit snacks, donuts, and I do. When they are done with their race, they did what I wanted them to do. They are getting shit. They got steaks and Zumos and all sorts of shit by the end of the night. But they did their job for me, and they still continue to do it. So we went out and we decided to drop another set of dogs, and we caught a hog. I mean, it was a very successful day, and I was proud of all the dog work we had. Now, and the way I mentioned it to them, I am not mad. I said, I will miss the biggest hog in the world. Say if that hog was going to make me rich, I don't know, just throwing stuff out there.
Yeah.
I would give up catching that hog to make sure my dogs don't have a heat stroke or have an issue.
Exactly. I mean, any hog hunter that's hog hunted for years or done it their whole life or anything will tell you, it's this sport right here is not. You can't just go anywhere and look. A lot of people tell you, "Oh, this is a hog dog. He'll go buy you a hog and do this and do that." Okay, that's all good, but it's actually what produces for you, and it's not easy to get. So you have to take into consideration the time, the effort that you raise this dog, that you brought him to the woods hunting, and that has to be much more important to you than just catching a hog.
Yes. Yeah.
It's not. You can't just go anywhere and just say, "Well, pick up a dog. Oh, yeah, he looks like a hog dog," and just go bring him to the woods, and you're gonna see that he's not.
Yeah, and so kind of the way you talked about that, maybe I'm going to bring up a very offending subject to a lot of people. I can't tell you how many people say a hog dog's a tool. Okay, what is it a tool for? Is that making you your living?
Yeah.
I mean, I hate that statement. I absolutely cannot stand it because I do not know still to this day one person that relies on a hog dog to feed their family. I don't.
Yeah, no.
And
no, I don't
back in the day, yes, I get it. And I know there's still old-timers out there, and I've had a couple reach out to me, and this guy was 64 years old. He said, until I heard you put it that way. 64 years old. This guy's been hunting, he said, for 40-plus years. Yeah. He reached out to me and told me, he said, until I heard you put it that way. You know how good I felt when he said, until you put it that way? He's like, it made sense. He's like, I used to say, a dog's a tool. If it's not going to do its job, it needs to go. Or I don't need to, you really don't got to treat it good. It's a tool. You put it away when you don't need it. You bring it out when you need it. And the way I put it is you're not making a living off that dog. And if you are, you better treat it a hell of a lot better.
That's right. Because he's a lot more, I mean, I don't know why. I mean, I understand, maybe 60 years ago, people, that's where they raise hogs. And I've been around it my whole life. But nowadays, it's the same thing as anything, hunting-wise. It's not, you're not going to starve to death. So
no.
You're going to always have something to eat. So, I mean, it's very important to me, and it should be for every hog hunter. If they're a renounced hog hunter that has had proven dogs over the years, they should know what kind of diamond they have.
Yeah.
And you don't just throw that away.
No. And there's some guys, man, and their biggest thing is you're in it for the wrong reasons. You hear a lot of people use that term. You're in it for the wrong reason. Well, you're 110% in it for the wrong reason if you believe that hog dog is just a tool. If that's your passion, I do. So let's put it this way: if you're a fisherman, hog hunting's a lot like fishing. You cast, you reel it in, you can let it go, kill it, whatever. Okay, same thing with the hog dog. I promise you, if you miss a fish, it's your record fish, and you have a $300 reel, which I'm just saying $300 because we know hog dogs. I've seen people write blank checks to buy, not mine, but other people's hog dog. I've witnessed it.
Yeah.
You would not shoot that dog because it missed a hog. Same thing with if you're fishing. You miss that big-ass fish, that 8-pound, 9-pound bass, and you miss it, and you're not going to break your pole and throw it in the water.
Yeah, exactly.
I try to tell people about that, and I get a lot of people. What made me sick when I first got into this is the people that would brag about, I got to be careful on how I word this. I got to be very, very careful. The culling process. I absolutely could not stand how they bragged about it. Well, this just wouldn't do this, and then I was like, why? I mean, I'm not no ASPCA supporter, whatever the hell all that bullshit is, but yeah. I've had people argue with me, well, it depends on whose hands that dog's in. But that's the same person that's sitting there saying, oh, this dog ain't worth the shit, it needs to go. Why don't you try to put it in someone else's hands? Maybe it'll work.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And if it don't, at that point, then we understand, okay, now we need to go to the culling process. Potentially try to see if there... I don't ever recommend a house family to get a hunting dog line, but as a family pet. But if there's somebody out there that lives in the country that just wants to let a dog roam free, and just, or even say it's a coon dog, and it's not worth a shit in the competition world, or even a pleasure dog, but they just want to keep coons off their feeders. There's someone out there that's willing to work with some shit like that. If it's a dog that never catches a hog, but it'll run one, and they don't want hogs around their property, leave that damn dog outside.
It's different strokes for different folks.
Mm-hmm. Man, I'm sorry. I get heated about that subject. I think I do every damn time. And, man, that is the biggest backlash I get. Like, I'm trying to sensitize the hog hunting community. That's not what I'm doing. I'm not trying to make anybody sensitive about it. Dogs are amazing creatures. People are always thanking the troops. Mm-hmm. Yeah. This is something I really want to touch on, and I'm going to get way deeper into detail in a future podcast. They don't realize how many bomb dogs are out there that have been blown up to save your family or somebody else. You'd be thanking them for their service. You're
exactly right.
It's just something I really, like I said, I get a little frustrated on. Now, while we're on that, do you have any? So I can get off of it. Do you have anything else you'd like to say about that?
No, sir. I think that's it.
So now, a couple things I do got to ask you. I think we're covering a bunch of stuff pretty good. I really honestly do. Now, gear-wise, what are you running collars and handhelds and stuff like that?
Just the 300i, the TT25s, and I have a few TT15Xs.
Okay, and have you updated your... 25's come out with that new update, right?
I haven't updated it yet.
But have you... So I got rid of my 25s, and man, I hope Garmin don't, or somebody don't listen to this and start getting pissed off at me. But my issues were with the 25s is the bark indicator was really, really bad.
Yeah, I have 3 25s, and I haven't had a problem with that. I did notice that it would pick up and drop until I got further away, and then it seemed like the further you got, the better it would pick up.
Huh.
I don't know if it was the return rate. I don't know if you can change the return rate on the collar itself. Like you can, like a system. I'm not too sure. But that's what I've seen. And also the 300, some of them had issues, and Mr. Mike was one of the guys that I've seen it happen to as far as the GPS. He said that he had to send one of his back because we went on a hunt, and his GPS on his 300, it would pick up and then drop, pick up and drop, and it wouldn't maintain communication. So he sent his back and got another one, and it works fine. And I got one, and I never had any problems out of it. So That's the system that I run. I've had good luck with them.
Huh. Okay. Well, I mean, yeah, I run the same stuff. I'm just curious. I'm trying to find somebody that runs a little bit different stuff, man. I've reached out to this guy. Man, he's over there and he's overseas, and I've been doing some research on it, and you know, they're running off of like LTE, and
Yeah.
I've noticed like the research I've done on it is actually very successful, but for some reason they don't have any sales in the United States yet. But I've been in contact with people who are actually using them, so I know it's not some scam or anything like that. It's just they're actually reaching out to them ranges, but you know, that would pretty much shut Garmin like way down. If some callers could get out there and actually reach out 3 to 4 or 5 miles.
No doubt.
And steady.
I've seen antennas and all, and I've used them, and I've never been lucky enough to be able to pick up past 2.5 miles, and that was really good for me. Which it didn't maintain the communication, but I did pick up dogs at like 2.15 and 2 point whatever. But I did drop them pretty quick.
Yeah. I mean, I'll give it to Garmin, and the only reason I made this happen is because I threw an antenna in the tree. You know them extended, gosh dang it, you buy them, bird's nest. They're like 3 foot or whatever.
Yeah, the extendable ones.
Yeah, so I tie a water bottle to the other side, and I'll throw it over a tree. Because trust me, I threw a freaking Garmin over the tree, and it went in the water. Because I left it attached to the antenna, you know what I mean? Yeah, just stupid rookie mistake. But I threw it over the tree now, and I'll pull that antenna up the tree, and then I'll plug the Garmin in. So it gets me like, I don't know how long that, 15 foot extra. And I've been able to reach dogs over 2.73, I think, is what our max was.
You're the first person to ever tell me something like that. I've never heard anybody do that.
Yeah, and that was, I threw it up in a tree, and it did work. And that was here recently, actually. But I'm talking, I only picked up the dog. I didn't keep track of him, none of that. It just pinged him again, and then it went question. You know how it goes, question mark.
But at times that's a very key aspect in the game, because if you're anything like me, a lot of times the hogs run where there ain't no road or anything like that, and I gotta know, if I knew my dog was headed that way, I know kind of the way the hogs run, so I'd have more knowledge in knowing, do I need to go around or do I need to stay? I mean, it's very important to know them type of things. In the area that I hunt, that's what I run into.
Yeah. No, I know what you're talking about. Now, I've heard a lot of controversy over the times. You know, let's talk about this a little bit. You mentioned it just now, a running hog. I don't see the problem why people are complaining about it. I love a runner. But what's your opinion on kind of what's going on? I mean, I don't know if you heard Mr. Mike talk about it or not, but if you don't mind touching on it.
I would say, everybody has a different opinion, but as far as places that's been hog hunted for years and years, obviously, the hogs are going to have more knowledge of a dog. So, with that being said, when people would raise hogs in the woods years ago, and old-timers didn't like rough dogs at all, so they want a dog that would bay, because they'd bay a sounder up, take the hog they wanted, and leave the rest, mark them, catch them, whatever. And so it's a little bit different nowadays, but with that being said, I say that when you run an area for years and years, you're going to obviously catch the hog that is, it's either one or two things. Either he's stuck in a bad situation, a dog runs up on him at the right time and is able to stop that hog very quick, or he is something wrong with him. He's not as smart. He's not as knowledgeable as the rest of the hogs. And once they get away one time doing something, I mean, it's an animal. They're apt to do it again. If it led to the results of them getting away. They're not only running, it's not only dogs that's out there. I mean, you got coyotes and everything living in the woods with them too. So, that's a a whole different aspect of everything that happens to them. But I would say over the years, more or less, the hogs that have adapted, and I've seen it on a hunting club that I'm in. You know, it was domestic hogs raised there, 40 years ago. So the hogs over time, when you have Russians and you have Pinewood Rooters that breed with domestic hogs, so they get bred out over time because it's more of a Pinewood Rooter and a Russian bred hog than it is domestic hog because nobody's putting domestic hogs in the woods anymore.
Yeah.
So, and it's just the genetic build of a domestic hog it makes them more likely to be caught quicker by a dog because of their genetic features. Bigger hogs, shorter legs, they can't run as fast. Obviously, because when they were bayed in the woods years ago, and they weren't killed, all of them, they just get used to it.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, a running hog, I'm not gonna say. I mean, I don't hate a running hog. I mean, I like to see what my dogs can produce out of a running hog. The race, and they're able to stop that hog. That's better than a hog just bayed up quick. And it takes more skill.
Yeah, it really does. It really does. Some of the most impressive stuff I've seen is I went to a bay, and this, on my books, this was a huge win. Every time we got to the bay, I had a new catch dog. I'm not ashamed of admitting any of this. And my catch dog missed 3 times. And the first time, the dogs, I don't know, it was 300 yards they had it bayed up. Then it went to 900, bayed up, missed again. It ran again, bayed up, and then it just ran and ran and ran and ran after that. So I'm assuming it kind of got knowledgeable. But I liked that because it was running and showing that my dogs were actually capable of stopping it again. Now, when I talk about these runners and not being able to stop hogs, a lot of people, from my understanding, claim every hog is a runner. They're like, oh, my area's got nothing but running hogs. And so-and-so has been there and hunted that area, and they don't have a single problem with catching any of those hogs. So that's where I'm like, you might want to look at kind of what you're feeding a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly right. There's different calibers of dogs in every breed. I've seen it firsthand. I was raised up running curs, so it's not to say curs. They have great curs. I've seen very good cur dogs, hog dog wise, bay hogs, catch hogs, do whatever with them. And I was fortunate enough, my dad raised some curs, and that's when I started. When I grew up, I mean, I've been hog hunting since I was 4 or 5 years old with him, ever since I was old enough to go in the woods. So, I mean, we caught, I don't even know how many hogs, hundreds and thousands of hogs. So, and I was able to see this it was a 15-year-old leopard cur dog that he had, which was his main strike dog. And we started hunting a different place up in North Louisiana in Winfield, if you're familiar with that area.
I know where it's at. Yeah.
So, well, we started hunting up there, and obviously it's hill country, most of it. They do have some swamps, some bottoms, but mainly all the big hardwoods are getting cut out, and it's all cut over. So we started hunting with these cur dogs up there, and we did catch hogs, and but the dogs didn't have the, I guess you would say the bottom. And I've hunted with cur dogs that had a lot of bottom that would stick with them, and not all of them are like that. And he did have a fair amount of bottom.
As a Catahoula?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it was a Catahoula leopard cur. But he would run his bottom, I would say, running hog, he would run usually 2.5 hours. And if he didn't stop the hog by then, he would, regardless of the track, would just, if it got too hot in the day or whatever, weather conditions permitted, whatever it would be, he would come on out and we would call him out. Well, that's the reason why I got into hounds, for that reason, because started running hounds, and these hounds, I brought them to the same places that Skirt Hog was. I mean, I've done brought, I don't know how many people up here hunting, and these hogs are very knowledgeable. So, they know how to run. And, I brought a fella, he had a couple plots, and, turned them loose, and dogs struck and cut over, and they run, I'm talking about all day until it was from daylight till, I think we finally bayed the hog. It was about 1 o'clock midday. They bayed the hog finally. And ever since I seen that, I said, man, that's something different. And that was just will work. They had to have the bottom and capability and the drive to be able to run the hog that far and stop it. And I seen it firsthand. It totally changed my mindset of hog hunting. As far as plots, everybody's got your own opinion.
Yeah.
About dog wise, and but I would say that's pretty much what changed my mind as far as turning to plots, because I was like, man, this is what works. Yeah. I'm not into doing something that don't work, so I'm not gonna waste my time.
Yeah.
So I mean, I have these dogs because I know what they're capable of, and I know the hogs that I've bayed with them, I've caught with them, everything like that. So that's the reason why I do what I do.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with that, and that's what I try to tell people. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. If you like what you're doing, stick with it. I started out if you listen to my beginning podcast, I talk about I bought everything I could under the sun. I'm not saying that I got the best reputable stuff. It probably could have worked out great. I just noticed what was working out for me a lot sooner and doing exactly what I wanted, and that's why I kind of stuck with and I don't plan on changing any time ever, to be honest. Now, man, I really do like where we're going with this. Now, I do got to ask you, have you ever been on a hunt that kind of went sideways and maybe got just out of nowhere, just went crazy?
As far as
just
like dogs not doing what they're supposed to?
Anything. Maybe you was in the middle of a freaking hunt, and some bullshit always happens to me. Like this weekend, for example, we're on a hog, we're going to it, and I blow a hole in the rear of my boat. It's like, gosh damn it, something like that.
The craziest thing that happened to me probably is me and a buddy of mine. This was a couple of years ago. Me and him went hog hunting one morning. It was after turkey season. And we pulled up net, and I talked to him for a minute. We called up the dogs, and I just dry casted my dogs at this bottom. I cut 2 of them loose, 2 male dogs, and they rolled out and set up there in the truck, and I was tracking them. They went down that bottom, and they had a cut over to the end of it, and they got right down that creek and it cut over, and they went to baying. So we went down there, and there's not many roads in this area. It's pretty much a big swamp cut over, runs to a lake. And they had the hog bait up. We got the bulldog in there, caught the hog, tied it up. So, tied up the hog, and my buddy told me, he said, let's catch another one. I said, all right. I said, I already know what's going to happen. It's the second turn out. I said, well, we're going to cut them loose. I said, we'll cut one dog out. So, cut one dog out, a jip, and went probably, 300 or 400 yards, and opened up a few times and got down and fell off in the cut over, and they had another creek. It wrapped around, went to baying off to the side of a little trail in this cut over. So we went over, and the hog broke before we could turn the bulldog loose in the broad patch. Well, they lit out, and it just that one jip. And he told me, he said, cut them 2 male dogs loose to her. I said, I know what's going to happen. So I said, all right. I cut both of them off the top of the box, and they went in there, and they hit the track, and they rolled out, and they doubled back and come back up that creek on the other side. They had another pine plantation. And they bayed for a minute, and we drove closer to them, and hog broke again. And I seen the hog break out. It had an old bridge across the big creek. And I seen his tracks, and he's a pretty good hog. Wasn't a giant hog, probably 150, 160 pounds. And we sat there and tracked them. They run, I think it was right at like 0.8 something, 0.85. They shut the hog down again, had him bayed. So I said, Well, the old road ended up at the creek. So we turned around, and I said, we got to go all the way back out to the main gravel and go around. Because I knew it was going to happen before it even happened. So I done hunted over there long enough. So we went, and I tried to cut through the woods, and I had it side by side. And it was a cut over, and I fell off in a skidder rut. Well, I fell off in that skidder rut, and me and him, we tried and tried and tried. There wasn't nothing to winch to. And he had his, it was a little 300 Honda 4-track. And, we tried for over, man, it was probably at least an hour. And in that time, it was that old skidder that had water in it. And we were trying to push it, and I was trying to gas on it and everything. And he said, man, he said, something bit me. I said, what you mean? So he said, hey, pull off his boot. And I was like, man, it couldn't have been no snake. I mean, we didn't see no snakes.
Yeah.
So I didn't think nothing of it. I was like, maybe it was a stick that jabbed you or something. Well, I said, let's get on your four-wheeler and go all the way around. So I threw the bulldog, me and him on the four-wheeler. And we drove around. Finally had the hog bait up in a cutover. And I think I posted this video on Facebook. I walked up there and cut the bulldog loose. We caught the boar hog. And we tied him up. And my buddy, he stopped after we tied the bulldog back and tied the hog up. He said, man, my ankle's killing me. I took off his boot again. And his leg done swole up to his purple. I told him, I said, that was a snake, man. And he said, yeah. So I called my dad. He was coming up there to the camp. By that time, it was 4:30 in the evening. I told my dad, I said, could you come meet me on the gravel road over here and pick my buddy up and bring him back to his truck? You know, I'm gonna get the side-by-side and all that later to take the dogs out and all that. And so he did. He come back and he had to go to the hospital and receive antivenom for his snake bite. It was a water moccasin bit him. But that's probably the craziest thing that ever had happened to me hog gun wise.
Well, so was he wearing like boot? Like how?
Yeah, he was just wearing some neoprene boots.
How did he get bit through that?
I don't know. I don't know. That's the craziest thing. I'm telling you. I don't know if maybe like they were neoprene, but they had like some kind of
fabric.
Yeah, some kind of like fabric on the sides. I think it was a pair of like muddy boots or something.
Yeah.
And when it bit him, I guess it went through there. It was like dry rotted from just old boots. And I guess it went through that and hit him. But that's pretty much the craziest thing that ever happened to me.
Like right at his ankle or what?
Yeah, like right above his ankle. Yeah.
Oh man, gosh, that is just shitty luck.
Yeah, I mean, but it's always something, man. It's hog hunting. You got to expect what's going to happen because it's going to happen.
Yeah.
You just got to accept it.
Yeah. So, but he ended up living and everything, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he lived. He had to go to the hospital, and they gave him anti-venom for that. And he had to stay in the hospital, I think, it was a day or so. And he got out of the hospital.
Gosh,
yeah. But I mean, I've been, hog hunting the woods at night and everything, and I've almost stepped on big rattlesnakes and everything. I ain't never been bit. I don't know how, but I've never been bit.
That's what I'm telling you about. I was getting on my wife last weekend about. She comes back cut down from thickets and stuff because she just ran out there in shorts, and I can't stop her. She does not listen. I'm like, you got to get in this damn boat, put on something. No, it pisses me off so bad. Tennis shoes and shorts.
Man, you don't hear that much about the women nowadays because it ain't like that.
We were in church. We was in church Sunday morning. I just had to laugh at her because, you know, she wore a dress to church or whatever, and I was looking at her legs, man, and you could tell the briar thickets just absolutely wrecked her. And I just laughed at her, and she said, "What?" And I was like, "Honey, you are sitting here trying to look so pretty. Your legs are literally bleeding sitting here in church." They're like, "Shut up. They know we're hog hunting." I'm like, whatever. But yeah, it was. She was bleeding. It was. She's a trooper, and but
definitely one of a kind.
Yeah. But yeah, man, that's a crazy story. Gosh damn, I didn't know you was gonna say something about getting bit by a snake.
Yeah, I know. That's the only time it ever happened. I've ever seen anything like that hog hunt wise. and it's really something you don't expect. It just happened. It was a bad ordeal. Got bogged down. Stuff like that happens all the time to me. I don't know about all the other hog hunters, but I've been in some predicaments before.
Mine's usually shit breaking down or forgetting. Man, last weekend or something like that, I had to tie a hog. It was like last week or something. Caught a hog, and I was like reaching in my back and shit. I'm like, I always keep ties and stuff in here. And it's already happened to me and my other buddy once. We caught a hog, and I was like, I always got, at least freaking mule tape on me. And I was reaching everywhere. I could be as prepared as possible. As a matter of fact, Friday starting to go out and hunt. I go out and dogs start rigging. I'm like, oh, hell yeah, where's the Garmin? We're just going to go ahead and cut them out and catch a hog real quick. Left the Garmin all the way back at the vehicle. It's like a 20-minute boat ride. I'm like, oh, yeah. And my wife looked at me and she said, don't you dare think about it. I was. I ain't going to sit here and lie. I thought about just fuck it, cast him, see if I can hear him. But I know better than that.
Oh, yeah.
But
no, it never work out like that.
I got another question for you. Maybe catch you off guard a little bit. And if you don't feel like answering it, you do not have to. Because I know there's people out watching, whatever. But your care for your dogs. I'd really like you to cover hydration. What do you do in the summer months? I got my method to keep dogs hydrated, and your worming methods and what to look for, kind of if a dog's acting a little sour. Can you kind of cover that a little bit, like medical on dogs?
Man, I would say, every man should know his dog. He's going to own dogs. So, as far as feed-wise, depends on if you keep your dogs on dirt, if you keep them on concrete, stuff like that. Their coat is a big aspect in knowing, as far as I can usually tell when a dog's got worms, because if he stays on concrete and his coat ain't shining and looks dusty, he usually has worms. That's the number one thing to me, as far as you can tell two hookworms, dog using the bathroom, got blood in or whatever.
Yeah. Tapeworms are usually
that,
coming out.
Yeah. Anything like that, I would say. But I just outmet dogs hydration wise, I try. I hog hunt in the summer, but I don't do it as much. Just because, when you got dogs that got the bottom and they run, and I do have a lot of roads, but where the hogs run, they usually lead to a lot of time spent trying to get to the dogs and trying to call the dogs off if it's later in the day and everything. I always keep water. I always keep water on me as far as, on the bike with me at all times. If I get to the dog, if he's overheated, try to give him some water. But if a dog's super overheated, he's not going to drink. So, I usually if you keep alcohol with you, and a dog's super, super hot, lay him on his side underneath his armpits, you can squirt that alcohol, and alcohol is real cold. So it cools them off a lot better as far as the temperature of their body.
Yeah.
Because when they overheat the blood, your blood temperature is what actually makes a dog heat stroke out, just like people,
Yeah.
But as far as that, I would say it's very, for summer hunting, not just hydration, but I always carry alcohol with me for that reason.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a smart one. Shit, I didn't know that. But, do you do anything preventative? Like, as in, a week before, do you start doing any kind of electrolytes or?
Yeah, I always, usually summertime hunting, I'll use red cell.
And that's that. Oh, well, no. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
It's you can get like pretty much like any feed store, Tractor Supply, any feed store around your house usually have it. It's like a horse additive, but horse animal additive. It's as far as like iron, it helps their body, not only electrolytes, but as far as that goes, that's usually what I do. I really don't have no problems hunting in the summer. Like I said, I don't hunt every day in the summertime, though.
No, yeah, I haven't either, really. I mean, I hunt pretty much all the time, but I haven't had any other issues regarding summertime either. I just was, I don't know, you hear about everybody, oh, you don't need to be hunting in the summer. It'll freaking break a dog down and you know, kill them is what everybody makes it seem like. But I think if you pull them out in a reasonable amount of time or have a good handle on it, you got to, like you said, goes back to knowing your dog. If you know your dog's going to go out there and cast out and not come back, I wouldn't recommend dropping that dog. Now, if you can tone it back, go ahead. Now, here's I got one more, and then we're gonna get into the final questions. Now, I had a little experience this weekend where, you know, the dogs ran off. They were right behind. There were 3 point some seconds. I don't know. When I see the hog cross, I start a timer on my phone because I can tell by, like, you know, on the Garmin, I can tell which way the dogs are running. So if they're running towards like a river edge, I'm gonna pull up to them, whatever. And they were like 3 point some seconds behind that hog. Well, I know it was going off into something else, and I know I don't have permission to be there. Now, I had to call him off or whatever, and I just cut him off, you know, praised him still. Now, because I watched it cross, I was like, gosh damn it. It wasn't no monster or anything that's going to freaking, you know, hurt me in the future, but I was just proud of them. I mean, they were running it, and it happened to just swim ahead of them. Now, what do you think? Do you think that's really going to affect a dog if you ever have to do that, or what's your opinion on that?
Well, I would say that, I'm not going to say that it's going to change a dog, his aspect of drive on a track as far as stopping, you know, unless you're hunting on some, you know, just a small piece of land, and that's all you ever do is just call your dogs back off, you know, of a track. But it happens to everybody. You run hogs. I mean, we hunted this year and with Mr. Mike, and the river was up, so the hogs would hit the river in the backwater, and obviously sometimes the dogs would swim before you get there to them, and they would bait a hog on a knoll out there on the other side of the river. But we would always try to stop it because we always knew what was going to happen. Or if it would run off on neighboring land, you know, we'd always have to call the dogs off. Now, I don't think that's going to affect your dog as far as drive on track or, you know, your dog not being able to run a hog and stop it. It really, and every situation is different because it depends on where you find the hog at. Like as far as a hog being on his feet is different than a hog in his bed. So a hog is feeding. If your dog can get up there to him without him knowing, and get close enough, he can stop that hog pretty quick. But if a dog is really just smelling scent, running, and a bust a hog out his bed, he's gonna run automatic. 9 chances out of 10, that's what a hog does when you bust them out of their bed. Because they feel safe in their bed when they're laid up. Yep. They've chose that spot
for a reason.
Yeah, to know, like a big bull hog, he'll usually lay up, you know, in a broad patch where he's looking one way. The wind's blowing the other way. He's like a big buck in every scenario. That's the way it goes.
Yeah.
But no, I don't believe that. I don't believe it affects your dog in a certain way as long as you don't do it 15 times a hunt. You know, I would try to pick a different area to hunt if you had that.
Yeah, no, he already, I think as a crow flies to where it ended up crossing, it was a little over 2 miles, and I was just kind of following them down the river, and once they hit that, I said, yeah, I can't let them cross here, and I was like, I know where them daggum hogs go. I know exactly where they're at, and I do have permission, like, 800 yards after that section of property, and I know that's where them hogs are going. But it is what it is. You know, I was very curious about that real quick. Now, a couple more questions, you know, that I do got to ask. You know, what would you want everybody, you know, say it's your family, everybody, what do you want them to know you for in the hog hunting world? You know, whether it's treating your dogs good, breeding the right line, respecting other individual. I mean, what would you like them to know you for?
Well, all of those things, but one, for certain, is being honest. You know, a truthful person is very, you know, when you can hold accountability to somebody. You know, if you call them and talk to them, and you know that person is not going to lie to you, beat you around the bush for certain things that better them, you know, but tell you the truth. And that's the way that I want people. I want people to treat me that way, so I'm going to do the same thing to other people.
Yeah.
But truthful, you know, a very honest person. I'm not like, you know, you kind of get on the subject of, you know, you got people hog hunting, and I've run into this all the time where, you know, this person hog hunts and that person hog hunts, and this person uses this dog, that one uses this dog, and it's like a battle, kind of like a match, kind of like, say, well, he's catching a hog, and it's like that nobody wants to see you catch a hog.
Yeah, I know.
If they see that, then it makes them mad. But we're all in for the same thing, so regardless, it doesn't matter. I think it's really just, more or less, it's the way people handle things nowadays.
Yeah. Yeah,
that's really what it boils down to.
That irritates me because I'm trying to get unity going. I really am. Like, I ask questions on social media, and it's like, you could have swore I went and just punched them in the mouth. They get so mad about just a simple question. And I'm just asking. I'm not even trying to be like, hey, I'm trying to start a confrontation. I don't get paid. I'm not no clickbait guy. I'm not getting paid. I listen to facts all day at work, like, because I'm a welder, so I'll put my headphones in and listen to, you know, factual information about dogs. I'm always listening to something informational. I can't do fake stuff. I can't, even movies, TV shows, any of that. I cannot do anything fake. I don't like it. Everything has to be truthful in what I'm listening to. So, and I try to teach my kids that, like, and my son, he's astronomical when it comes to science and math and stuff like that. Well, it just bugs me that you ask a simple question, you try to get some advice, and now I know why there's people that are trying to get into it are scared to reach out to other people, you know. But the people that I've reached out to, like, that have reputable experience, yourself, Mr. Mike, Justin Becker, Kenneth Smith, I mean, I got more that I haven't released yet, and I'm not going to say those names yet, but it's very nice to be able to talk and communicate with them, because it shows that there is hog hunters out there that are willing to sit down, have a conversation, and it's not about they're pissed off because you're another hog hunter. I get it. You know, you want to catch them all. Everybody does.
Yeah.
But come on, man. Then you're going to be the first one bitching in your 80s because you're sitting at the freaking gas station drinking your coffee at 4 in the morning and you don't see no dog boxes going by. And you're like, man, back in my day, you know, we seen dog boxes getting loaded up. But everybody's playing video games now. And then you got the same people, landowners, you know, they're just shitty to, you know, you get a couple. Yep. I own property. I hope kids, I pray I see kids trespassing on my property. And I do.
Exactly.
And I'm not going to be mean. I'm going to like, just be like, hey, look, you know, you never know who you're going to step on, but catch whatever the hell you want on my property. I don't care.
That's right. And it's important to kids nowadays, like you talked about. It's, you know, the more kids you can get out. I love. That's the whole thing about me is, you know, seeing young kids come out hog hunting, you know, and get them into it and see they're excited about it. You know, I can see that in myself because at their age, I was the same way. I love going. You know, I mean, it's just a passion for me. So to see them to be able to do the same thing that I grew up doing, it's a very important thing that I would say. A lot of people overlook. It's not all about, you gonna catch 10 hogs? Well, I call 11. So it's not all about that.
Yeah.
It's about getting the younger people into it and watching them grow into it. It's very important. You know, older people. Mr. Mike. I've been privileged enough. a very good friend of mine. And just any question I have for him, as far as dog wise, he has the knowledge of more than I could ever understand about dogs because he's been doing his whole life. So if I had any questions, I would call him and ask him. And he's been nice enough to, we've been friends, and he can tell me this and that and whatever I need to know. And I go hunting with it. And that's something I enjoy, you know. And whenever I have a kid, I'm going to bring him up doing the same thing because that's what it's very important to me. And it should be important to everybody.
Yeah, and I like the way you put that because the way I put it is Mr. Mike has forgot more than we even know.
Oh, yeah.
That gentleman is just when you know, I did my research on that guy, and I know I did enough research on him because he stopped me in the middle of the podcast and was like, I just got to ask you, how do you know all this? And I kind of was like, I did my research before I got what I really wanted, you know, and I'm trying, you know, I'm trying my hardest to figure out a way to be able to take kids, you know, insurances and landowners and everything really plays a big part in that, and it screws up a lot of things. It's not like it was back, even when I was in high school. You know, you could go on private properties that you got permission on, and landowners didn't have to worry about getting sued. Now, that's not the case anymore. And when I say kids and stuff, I'm taking 18, 19, 20-year-old kids out. What I call kids, I'm only 29, but younger gentlemen out on these hunts. And a lot of them are just having the times of their lives. Like,
exactly.
They're sending these videos back home and bragging about us. Like, and you know, they might have 5,000 friends on social media, but they've never seen a dog run anything. And then next thing you know, you got 400 people reaching out to you like, well, that's exaggerating. I'm going to be, like, quite frankly honest, like 55 to 100 people reaching out to you like, I would really like to go do that sometime. That's the kind of stuff I want to see. That's positivity. That's moving in the right direction. Them guys in Missouri and Colorado, they ain't going to buy hog dogs. You might get 0.2% of that. Say you take 5,000 people, 0.2% might go and get a hog dog and move south to run hogs.
But the whole thing, it boils down to is, you know, a lot of people, and, you know, I love for people to come and enjoy it, and I've hunted with people. You know, I've been thankful and lucky enough to be able to hunt with people all over the world, but it's the kind of person it takes to be a hog hunter. It's not only a hog hunt. So when you got dogs at home, it's an everyday job, okay? So that's your responsibility. Take care of the animal that you own, you know, the right way. And that's the first step. A lot of people aren't willing to do that. And if a person isn't willing to do that, I'd say don't ever own a dog of any kind. You know, you need to take care of your animal like you want to be taken care of.
Yes.
So it's very important.
Yes, sir. Yeah, and I agree with that. Now, with that being said, you know, we're coming closer towards the end where we got a couple more questions now. I need you to go ahead and give any shout-outs you have to mention. Anything you'd like to ask me, anything you would like to say, please say it.
Well, really, I mean, I just say, you know, Mr. Mike, thankful for him to be able to give me the opportunity to become friends with him. And you know, being able, he's invites me on hunts, you know. I tell him, Mr. Mike, come hunt, you know, let's go hunt, whatever. I enjoy that. You know, everybody that he hunts with also, we're all very good friends, and I enjoy that more than I think they really understand, and more than they really know, and it means a lot to me. It's like family to me.
Yes, sir.
So when you start hogging with people like that, it becomes family. It's not a competition, but it's something that you enjoy doing to a different level.
Yeah.
It's very different, but you know, like my dad, I was thankful for him to be able to raise me doing this type of hunting, and for me to see it, to be able to grow up and have my own dogs and raise them and feed them and take care of them day by day, you know, and not only just feed them, take care of them, water them, but, you know, as far as knowing all the health problems and doctoring them, and, you know, knowing when they were to take the right step toward each problem. So I was thankful in all the different all different types of ways. You know.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's awesome. I mean, I appreciate it. I got to give my shout outs to my people, Boars and Broads, guys. If you want some discount, merchandise, get you some Boars and Broads gear, use TNT at at the checkout, and then reach out to Mr. Michael Spieler, let him know you heard Tusks Tales on some cut gear. And to be Hog Dogs, I appreciate y'all. Y'all been supporters since day one. And then to my wife, she's and my in-laws, man. Them people, I get pissed off and I want to talk shit to them, but gosh damn, they've been there for me. They really have. I can't thank them enough. But that's just I want to give a shout out each and every time to recognize those people on my side as well. Now, we're like I said, we're coming to the end. I got a couple more questions. What is your favorite dog of all time? It doesn't have to be a hog dog, just your favorite of all time that you own, not somebody else's.
That I own, that would have to be the first my first spot that I own, male dog. He's Bayou Cajun bred. He's swampland. Swampland Wings bred.
Okay.
I got the dog, and he was a phenomenal track dog. He was a fairly good trail dog. He'd rather mess with a hog on his feet, but he would trail you up a hog. I'm not gonna say he had the coldest nose, but he had phenomenal bottom and ability to lay a hog in his bed. And that's what I like. He was a smart dog. And he was a producer, very good producer. I could, bring him to a jeep, and man, all the puppies, they'd be hog dogs.
Yeah.
And I wish I'd have bred him more. That's the number one thing. Hindsight 2020, but if that's one thing I could go back and I would breed him more and have more puppies off of it. The time that I had him. He was. I'd have to say he would be my best dog that I had on myself.
Yeah, that's awesome. So a good old Plott hound.
Oh man.
I love it. Now the last one I got is the most memorable story you have, whether it's with your family, whether it's with a buddy. I want to hear your most memorable. I don't want to hear your favorite, your scariest, the funnest. I want to hear the one that means the most to you.
Well, I'd have to say definitely going hunting in the marsh with Mr. Mike and the veterans. Out of all my time, just hospitality of the people, and the way that they're pretty much all like family to you. We're out there having a good time, talking. We cut up, we eat lunch together, we bay hogs together. Everything in that aspect, I would say that's probably the most memorable out of all my years of hog hunting. To be able to take them and get them on their first hogs, and just seeing, it's just joy from them. From what they've had to do, they enjoy it just like we do. They've never seen it before, but we're grateful enough to show them, and I enjoy that. I enjoy it, being together, and doing it.
That's very respectful. I like that. I do. When y'all, I wanted to kind of reach out to Mr. Mike regarding that. When does that usually take place?
It'll be it's in February. They change the dates on it every year. It depends on when the veterans are able to. They book the hunts, but it's usually multiple different weekends.
Okay.
Like around the February 15th area. But they have I think they do it 2 weekends, and but there's usually every weekend there's usually some type of veteran that comes on a hunt. Regardless, they might show back up. They might say, I don't want to do it again. Some of them are from Missouri, all over the world. They never seen anything like this. But they enjoy it so much that they come back multiple times.
Okay.
And,
well,
so
I like that. I do. I'm glad y'all are doing something like that. I'm glad y'all are, helping them out. I got to reach out to Mr. Mike. I think Mr. Chris runs that, don't he?
Yeah, Mr. Chris Brown.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's over it.
Okay.
He knows everything about it.
Okay, yeah, I might have to reach out to them and see kind of what's going on with that. So, but yeah, man, that's all I got. Is there anything else you'd like to say to anybody?
Well, I mean, I really, honestly, just take a kid hunting. Get him in there. Show boys how to be dog men. That's the most important thing. Teach them, be honest, and do it the way that you're raised doing it.
Yes, sir. So y'all heard it. Y'all heard it from the man, Mr. Wesley. I'm going to try to get him back on again. Like I said, a lot of these people in future dates get some more just story going. Kind of keep track about how their hunts are going and whatnot. And maybe y'all hear from them again in the future. With that being said, Mr. Wesley, I am done, sir.
All right. Well, I appreciate you having me on here. I had a good time talking.
Yes, sir. I'll tag you in Facebook if anybody wants to reach out, ask him some questions. Feel free. Like I said, he's not going to sell you his best dog, and he doesn't want your Chihuahua to try out in the woods.
No.
Just letting y'all know ahead of time. Now,
That's right.
all righty, sir. Well, I appreciate you, and you have a good evening.
All right, sir. You too.
Bye.